on the Colby Rogers thing, on PJ Haggerty, on Dane Danger, on hell, if they bring in Aaron Scott, John Buggs, all these guys fit a plan and a system that Penny wants to implement. Yeah. All these guys can run for the most part. All these guys have decent three-point balls. All these guys are interested in playing both ends of the floor.
Right.
There's just more of a focus than there was a year ago. It reminds me almost more of 2 years ago when they had that successful season start to finish with DeAndre and with Kendrick than it did a year ago, where you're getting all these shiny objects. You're working super late into the calendar. But there's a focus on, hey, three-point ball, play some defense, let's get up and down the floor. That's smart. That's smart. Now, the one thing that will continue to be the case is I think all of us will meet it with skepticism, just because of the way last year went. But I think there's more of an understanding of how these things fit together as opposed to last year where it's just, oh, this guy scored 15 points per game, come on down.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody on the phone today, and I said, listen, man, like, you're not going to hear – he called me to tell me, man, Penny's just doing – Penny, you can tell Penny's got a clear vision. He's doing a great job this offseason. I think the biggest development of all this is that it's still in April.
Yeah.
And he's got all of these commitments lined up that are coming in. He's got his roster – not almost full, but it's
there's going to have to be, what, 4 more commits on the transfer portal?
At least maybe 4, right? So he's got a large group of the work, a large swath of the work already done. Aaron Scott was in town alongside Colby Rogers.
Fighting with St. John's for...
Yeah, fighting with St. John's. He's in St. John's right now. He's with old Ricky Pitino over there.
Ace recruiter versus ace recruiter.
Let's go.
What do you think about?
I know we talked a little bit about Aaron Scott last week too, but in terms of, let me ask you this: do you think the Colby Rogers signing, the commitment, has anything to do with Aaron Scott?
No, I think what it would impact is John Buggs.
Yeah,
Aaron Scott's teammate who shot 45% from 3. I think that's what it would impact,
dude.
But I'm high on John Buggs. I like him. He's 6'2", but he's feisty, and he's got that three-point ball that's just undeniable. But no, I don't think this affects anything with Aaron Scott. Aaron Scott's a long, lengthy, rangy wing.
Two different players, right?
2 different type of players, in my opinion, altogether. Yeah. Now, it would be interesting just looking at all these pieces. If David Jones does come back, it just becomes very interesting and open in the lineup combination. You want to be multiple, but the lineup combinations could be very interesting, and you can play a lot of small ball, right? That's sort of what it looks like at this particular moment is like if you got Aaron Scott and David Jones came back with PJ Haggerty and Colby Rogers, like you could have a deadly 3-point sniper, small ball lineup with Nick Jourdain in there. That would be, it's just interesting how multiple some of these guys could be. And I know that Penny's always aimed for that positionless basketball thing.
Right.
So I think Aaron Scott fits into that really well. That would be, in my opinion, outside of PJ Haggerty, I think that would be my favorite get of this cycle if he can get him.
A lot of these guys all have the same look and feel to their game, but you're right. Like, we're talking about 2 totally different positions in terms of Colby, but it's clear what they're doing. They're still centered this team around PJ Haggerty. They're still what we have kind of looked, as you've looked at the footage, kind of what does PJ need to be for this team to be successful? What does PJ need around him to be able to maximize his abilities as the centerpiece of this team next year, minus David Jones if he doesn't come back, and that's 3-and-D shooters, right?
Correct.
Guys who can spot up, and that's what that is so wild. Like, this a shameless plug for the College Basketball Insider podcast with myself and Hitman Hoops. We put it out as it's a insider only podcast. You go to bluffcitymedia.co and /join, and you can become an insider and listen to that. But one of the things Hitman and I were talking about in the last episode was John Buggs is 6'2", and yet most of his work, I think a large percent of his work is done in spot ups.
Yeah, catch and shoot
type stuff, which is strange. And even in college, to be 6'2" and to be a spot up guy, usually that 6'2" guy is having to break down, right?
Yeah, usually it's a wing who has less handle.